Erev Tov. Welcome to the Netivot Shalom Shir. We're going to talk about the part of this week's Parsha Lech Lecha, and the portion of the Netivot Shalom that we're going to talk about is on page Samech Daled 64 of his first book on Bereshit, and we're going to talk about the command that Hashem gives to Avraham to leave his house and to ultimately go to Eretz Yisrael. And there are a number of questions that the Netivot Shalom will raise as to the language that is used. Because when you examine the language closely, as we'll do in this shir, it looks like it's backwards. If you're going to leave somewhere, you leave your house, then you leave maybe your birthplace, then you leave the land that you're in. If you're born in Efrat, so the first thing you do, you want to leave, you would leave the house that you're in, and then you leave Efrat, and then you leave Eretz Yisrael, Chas v'Shalom. So it seems backwards the way it says. So we should talk about that. Also, Hashem is telling Avraham Avinu to go out to end up coming to Eretz Yisrael. Why doesn't he use the word Tzay, go out? Why Lech Lecha, come for yourself? So we're going to see through this shir, Netivot Shalom is going to talk about the order of those words, and is going to point out that there's a specific reason for the words being like this, and the word lech lecha, lech, instead of go out, refers to what we have to do when we're leaving somewhere, trying to gain a higher level in our spirituality. What we have to do. It's not just going away from where you were, but it's purposely going with a purpose. So, with that little introduction, let's go ahead and look at the text. V'yomer Hashem el Avram, Hashem said to Avram, Lech lecha mi'artzecha, go for yourself, go out of your land, miladtecha, your birthplace, mibeis avicha, and from your father's house, el haaretz asher areka, to the land which I will show you. Of course, that's referring to the land of Israel. There are many discussions that the commentators have on that particular one sentence of the Torah. Amar lech lecha, it says, go for yourself. Ma'u inyan lecha, what does it mean for yourself? Shu b'yutar lechura, it's an extra word. God just said, Yomer Hashem el Avram, lech, go, mi'artzecha, or come from your land. Why the double word, lech and lecha? Obviously, because God's telling it to him, he's telling him to do it. There's nobody else he's talking to, right? So, my Indian, so the Netivot shows us what does that mean? Why are we having that extra words? Rashi maybe alzeh. Rashi gives an interpretation. Rashi says that Hashem is telling Avram to leave for his benefit. So it'll be good for him, for his goodness. It'll be good for him. So here, this itself raises a question on what Rashi says. Avraham, the beloved of Hashem, Avraham is the epitome of a close relationship with Hashem. He's beloved by Hashem. Does he need to do something for Does he need to have something done for him for his good, for his own benefit? That doesn't make sense with Avraham. Ken yesh lidaktik b'omer lech lecha. He asks Netivot Shalom, says, Lama lo namar tzei mi'artzecha v'ladecha. Why doesn't it say, go out from your land, from your birthplace? Well, the cause of Eitzel Noach, we just read a couple of parsha, not a couple of last week's parsha. Last week's parsha, God says to Noach, when the flood finally subsided, he says, "Say minateva, go out from the ark." Why isn't the word "say" go out used here? Oh, it's sort of here. We also have to understand Madua Kasiv Klal Ve'artzecha Miladdecha Ve'savicha. Why is it written backwards? Go out of your land, then go out of your birthplace, then go out of your father's house. Those words all seem extra. Would it have been sufficient if what Hashem is telling Avram that he wants him to leave where he is and go to Eretz Yisrael? He should have just said that. Go to the land I will show you. Why all these extra words? So we can explain it as follows. You can ask a question, and I raised it in my introduction. Why does it have this order of going out from your land, your birthplace, and your father's house? It's exactly backwards of what you would expect. First thing that happens if you're leaving somewhere, the first thing you do, you go out of your house. Right? You leave the house in which you're in. And then then it says, then you leave your birthplace. Your mashpacha, from your family, and your family, first leaving the city, then you're leaving you're first leaving that place you were born, then you're leaving the city, and then after that you leave the land. Why is it written just backwards here? It's not Purim where we do things hafuch. Why is Hashem writing it backwards? We can explain that Kavana Khan on Yani Midos Techudos Sheish B'Adam. The intent here is on the way that a person normally acts, the customary actions of a person. Because every person has midos ros, certain bad qualities, that are rooted in the place where he is. Moshe Kosim Harambam, as the Rambam said, Derech Riyaso Shel Adam. It's the way of a person. Liot Nimshach B'dasav V'masav Acharev. A person is normally influenced by his friends, and it's a customary thing to follow and to march with his friends, have the same opinions of his friends, of his neighbors and his friends, but knowing and he's accustomed to following the customs of the particular place that he's at. And we know in every place, yesh has halikuyim anim soim ba'anche osum. There are bad things that people do. There are bad habits, bad traits that people do. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos tells us that harchek mishachin ra. Stay away from a bad neighbor. Why? Because no matter how wrong you are in your beliefs, if you have a bad neighbor, you're going to be influenced You're going to be influenced by that neighbor, or you may be influenced by the neighbor. The devil says to be careful, don't do that. So here, this is saying the same thing. This is saying that, there are bad habits that maybe your neighbors might have. So hareham nidvaki ba'adam hamizgora ba'otomokum, and the people that live in that place, they're likely to pick up those bad habits, pick up those bad uh, character traits. Why? Because they seem to be normal. Everybody's doing it, right? So you don't even stop to think and analyze it. Well, maybe this is wrong. Yeah, everybody's doing it. Must be right. Picking up those traits. Sheteva Adam. It's the nature of a person. Lios nimshach achar chaverav anshivakomu. It's in the nature of a person to follow the flock, to follow the herd, to follow the people around him, not to be an independent thinker, but to just go with the flow. That's the nature. Because of this, it says, leave your land. Leave your land. You have to leave those bad qualities that are sticking to you by virtue of the place that you're at. Therefore, he says, but we see the bad qualities that you pick up from your neighbors, from the place that you're at. They're not that deep, right? They're subject to, you can come to your own senses, so to speak. You don't have to follow it. They're not that deep. They're easier to get over them, to get rid of them, and realize that that's not what you want to do. That's not the Ratzon Hashem. So that's Artzacha. And then there's your birthplace. Mitos Ros Habos Tursha Mitzad HaMishpacha. These are, he refers to as the hereditary traits. Hereditary traits that you get from your family. It's not really hereditary as we often hear the word. It's hereditary by virtue of your environment that you're in. You're in a close environment. He calls them hereditary traits. And those inherited, so to speak, traits, those traits that you learned as a child in your household, they're much deeper. And therefore, Hashem said to Avraham, Lech Lecha go out also from your birthplace. Vod yesh yoter amok, and even a deeper level of becoming influenced from your environment is bebeis avicha, from your father's house. Pagamim hanimshachim me'ahorim, the defects that are caused by our parents. We don't realize oftentimes that our parents provide the mirror for our children. Our children mirror our parents. So if we see our parents doing something, you're not going to normally think that your parents are wrong, then you're going to copy what they're doing, even if they're doing something wrong. So that's the deepest. So Azet Siva Kadosh Baruch Avram Lech Lecha Gam Miladecha. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, the Kosuv, as it says in Tillim, David Melech says in Tillim 51, Nun Aleph, Heim Ba'avon Cholalti Uvechet Yechmasni Imi. Basically saying that, not translating the exact words, but basically saying to Hashem, Rabbanu Shalom, you have created us where we're susceptible to sinning. It's part of our Ke'ilu, our DNA. So you created us this way, so how could you blame us so harshly? How could you blame us? You made us like this. That's what David Melech is saying. Please, given that understanding, don't be harsh on us. Don't be harsh on your children, B'nai Yisrael. Shehem pagamim hatovoim badam. These are defects in your blood, so to speak. They're in your genes. Show some kash, those are harder to get rid of. Zos Omar Kadosh Baruch Hu Avraham. And this is what Hashem said to Avraham. She'ikor Sheyakor Habidos Haros, that you should get rid of these evil qualities. Yishorish Acharehem Yoter V'Yoter Amok, and even these qualities that are these bad qualities that are deeper and deeper within you, you have to get rid of them, be okay them, rise above them, until you come to the land, which I will show you. Meaning, you're shedding all of these difficulties until you come to the land which gives you total devekut in Hashem, total connection in Hashem. And what land gives you more connection in Hashem than Eretz Yisrael? None. Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, is where we are closest to Hashem. So much so that the Talmud says a person who walks 4 amos, which is the equivalent of basically 4 yards, a short distance, in Eretz Yisrael, merits the world to come. There are mitzvahs that you can do in Eretz Yisrael that you can't do anywhere in the world. So that's the place where you come for Devekus Hashem. Zeh perish Lech Lecha, and this is what it means: Lech Lecha Anascha Tovascha, for your benefit and for your good. Shebevadai, certainly Hanasu Shel Avraham Avinu, the benefit of Avraham, of our father Avraham, Lo Hoysel Inyane Olam Hazeh. He wasn't looking for worldly benefits, worldly pleasures. He had no connection to worldly things. Ella hakavana, the intention was, this is how you can be joyous with Hashem. This is the pleasure that Abraham, my beloved, would have. Moshe Kosim Mesilas Yeshorim writes, "Shaz Tanik al Hashem, to be joyous with Hashem. Zeu hatanu hagadol biyoter, we call it tanogim b'olam. Being joyous with Hashem, having this connection with Hashem, devekut, cleaving to Hashem, singing to Hashem, being happy with Hashem, that is greater than any joy in the world. And also B'kal v'chomer, certainly so. Eitzel Avraham Avinu, by Avraham Avinu, Shemosher Nafsho Lagamri, he was willing to give up his life completely, LaKadosh Baruch Hu, to Hashem, to God, Shahan Aso V'Tovaso Hagadolim, Yoter Hoyirak Oz Titanig Hashem. His greatest pleasure was only to have joy with Hashem. And because of this, Hashem said to him, he said it in that order. We have to leave all the qualities that we might have learned, the bad qualities we might have learned from the country that we're in, from the birthplace that we're in, from our parents' house. We have to look only for the good and shed the bad. Only when you do that, only then can you reach this greatest of pleasure. Not only, it's not just the natural tendencies of a person, that it's not only suppressing your natural tendencies until you come to what your purpose is, but the bad qualities that a person has, that are surrounding you, you can't allow them to keep you from achieving the goal that you want. Because the Rebbe told the following story. A person came to him, he complained to him about bad thoughts that he had in terms of his belief in God, in terms of Amunah. And they were constantly plaguing him. He says, why do I have these bad thoughts? Rabbi Dr. Rebbe said to him, these thoughts, Einon Shalcha, those are not your thoughts. They're your neighbor's thoughts, Hasovel, Baharhorim Be'amuna. They're surrounding you and interfering with your Amunah in Hashem. Again, you can see what the Pirkei Avos means to stay away from a bad neighbor. It even goes on, there's an expression that if you have to live in the desert around nobody, you're better off doing that than having a bad neighbor. And you are, because of the bad neighbor, you are attaching yourself to these bad thoughts, interfering with your Amunah. V'zeu she'amar. This is what it says, that he says to Avraham, Lech lecha me'artzecha umiladcha ve'savicha. Why? She'aseder hu mekudam lefaresh min amidos haros. The first thing you have to do is you have to separate yourself from the bad qualities. Habos mi'artzecha hakalim yoter, that come from the place that you're at, that are totally destructive. V'achar and after that, and that's the easiest part. V'achar but then it gets more intimate. Miladtecha beisavicha, from your birthplace, your father's house. Kedei shetagia letachlis hanirtza el oretz asher arekos, in order that you will come to the place that you want to come. You want to reach your purpose in life, so you can come to this land that I will show you. Shekadei lahagia lemadrega haruya shel haaretz asher areka. In order to come to the level that is fitting for the land that I will show you, for entering the land of Israel, sorech mikudam l'tzeit, you first have to leave mikol hamidos haros, from all of the bad qualities, sheshakua bahem me'artzecha, that have clung to you from your land, miladtecha, from your birthplace, ve'veis from your father's house. And this also explains to us why the Torah uses the word Lech Lecha instead of Tzay, go out. Why it says come for yourself instead of go out. As it says by Noach, go out of the ark. Kimash most say, the whole concept of going out, of Tzay, the whole concept of going out, ikar hamatorah hi hayetzia. The main part of going out is the going out. Right? Go out. So you're going out. That's it. You go out. That's the main purpose of it. It doesn't matter. Makes no difference where you go. Just go out. Go out at the table. which is not like here. Hatachlit hamatara, the purpose. He halicha le'eretz asher arech, the purpose of what God is telling him is not just to leave these bad environments for the sake of leaving the environments, but to go to a place where you can have devekus with Hashem, to go to a place where you can fulfill the purpose of your life, to go to Eretz Yisrael. That's the purpose of it. So you're leaving with a purpose. Lagia letachlis hanirtzi, to go to the purpose that you want, shall be at the Aretz, to going into the land, she devekut Hashem. The land of Israel is the cleaving to Hashem. All of the leaving of these other places that it mentions, from your land, your birthplace, your father's house, that's not the purpose by itself. It's connected to going, lech, to going to the land that I will show you. And that's why Hashem says, go for you. You should go and go until you come to your purpose. Colossian Rashi, according to Rashi, Yisrachik od misham. Distance yourself from where you were before. So there's a very important message in this. It's not just enough to recognize that I'm in a difficult situation and I've got to extricate myself from this situation. That's not enough. We have to go a step beyond that. We have to figure out, where do I want to go? Okay, so I can get out of this bad situation, but where am I going to? Where am I? Where am I? Where am I going? It's like in Parsha Bereshit, when Adam and Chava were hiding from Hashem. Hashem says, Hayeka, where are you? That's the question we have to ask. Where are we? Where are we now? How do we get out of it? And where are we going? And the appropriate answer should be, we're going to work harder to get closer to Hashem. We're going to a place where we have that ability to get close to Hashem. So we're not just leaving for the sake of leaving, but we're leaving for the sake of improving. Adkan, that's what the Netivot Shalom says to this point. I will take any questions. I certainly thank everybody for attending. Any questions before I turn? You're welcome. You're welcome. I'll turn off the recording in just a moment. Okay, you'll know when the recording is off because there's now a message that says the recording has stopped. So give me a moment and we'll stop it. I do that in case there's any comments that people don't want to be recorded, which I can understand. So I'm going to stop the recording now.